And good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us. Today's an important occasion. Today is a day when Rhode Island enters really a new leaf, turns a new leaf, and is beginning by way of earlier. Good afternoon, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to come today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Bill Hunt, who's chairman of the Libertarian Party of Rhode Island, and he'll be speaking to the bill, and he'll also be speaking to the Political Action Committee that's been formed as an effort and a coalition to market democracy here in the state of Rhode Island, if you will. I'm currently serving in my capacity, not as the former chairman. Can you edit that part? All right, I'll edit that part. I'm serving in my capacity here today as a member of the Libertarian National Committee, the board of directors, if you will, of the Libertarian National Party. But I want to stress, today is not a libertarian bill. Today's celebration is about opening democracy so that all parties, left of center, right of center, parties that may not even exist right now, parties that might be a thought in a group of activist minds coalescing around a cup of coffee this weekend or 4 years from now. Today is all about opening the doors so that individual grassroots efforts can coalesce and create political parties to share the stage and share the public support and share the, implied legitimacy that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party currently own. Across this nation, individual candidacies for perhaps philosophies, thought patterns, platforms that are, different from the Republican National Libertarian, are different from the Democrat or Republican duopoly, have a difficult time. They're unable to command the public stage, largely because of the lack of implied legitimacy by the states that they work and live and coalesce in. That's a shame. Americans overwhelmingly have indicated that they're looking for different solutions from the Democratic and Republican Party. And we're here to present an opportunity for that to occur in Rhode Island. A great deal of effort has been made in Rhode Island in the last few years to expand voting privileges and extend the logistics of voting, make it easier for Rhode Islanders to vote. And we applaud that. But at the same time, if the state or government acts as a gatekeeper to prevent you having choice outside of the conventional two parties, then that in fact is an act of voter suppression. And that's what we're working to change. Bill Hunt, chairman of the Libertarian Party of Rhode Island, join me.
Thank you so much, Pat, and thank you to everybody and all the volunteers who have worked so hard to get us to this point right now. In such a short amount of time, we've cleared a bunch of hurdles to get to this point. We had to get the bill of sponsors, and we thank Rep. Place and Rep. Shanley for sponsoring this legislation and helping us get it through the legislative process and getting the bill approved by Legislative Council. And actually getting a hearing on the bill to discuss this important issue. It makes this something that has gotten us miles ahead of where we've been in the past and beating our head against the wall, doing the same thing over and over again, trying to advance our cause. We know additional political parties, like Pat said, left of center, right of center, who have had the same struggles in the state to build an organization and to follow the rules outlined by state law. So we have three main objectives with this legislation. The first being to lower the threshold from 5% down to 2% for the qualifying races, for a candidate to be required to get 2% of the vote in order for that political party to be recognized by the state as a political party. We also want to expand the eligible races that the candidates can run for to qualify to become an official political party. The current races available right now are the presidential race and the governor's race. We feel it should be open to all statewide races in addition to the federal races, should be eligible races where candidates can run and compete for that 2% of the vote in order to qualify and get their party recognized by the state of Rhode Island. The other piece of the legislation, which is very important, also carves out and defines a minor political party as opposed to the major political parties who have met the state's qualification. This brings all of the political parties that are currently operating with little to no oversight by the government and the Board of Elections and operating, again, not everybody is operating on an equal playing field, and it's creating a barrier to entry from these small political startups from getting started in the state and building an organization. You have to start at the top at either the governor's or the presidential race before you can even begin the process of forming a political organization to help get your message out there to the voters in Rhode Island. This legislation is a very nonpartisan legislation, although it has directly to do with political parties, ironically. We have specifically, as the Libertarian Party, are championing this legislation, but we also wanted to form a political action committee that we have called the Rhode Island Voters for Election Reform, also known as RIVER, and we formed a political action committee, and you can find out more about this legislation and how to donate to the political action committee by going to our website, which is riverpac.org. And there you can find out all of the reasons why this legislation is important from both the left and the right perspective, in addition to the libertarian perspective. And you can also join our cause, and we ask all third parties in the state of Rhode Island who are active and striving for the same goal as the Libertarian Party to become recognized by the state to join our effort and to join our coalition. We understand this is an uphill battle. Hopefully we can get this out of committee and voted on this year and get passed in the House, but if this is not something that is resolved this session, we will make this a campaign issue in the upcoming elections. We will petition and find out where each candidate stands on this issue and make the endorsement process and use our political muscle as a political action committee to get this legislation passed. So again, I want to thank everybody that's gotten us to this point. I want to thank all of the people at the Secretary of State's office who have helped us with this legislation, who have made this something that is gotten through the whole process and made something that they have accepted. And we're looking forward to the hearing tonight where we can discuss the merits of the bill, and we're looking forward to the people who want to join our efforts to get this legislation passed. So that's about all I have to say, Pat. So give it back to you.
I'd like to take a moment to echo your thanks. First of all, to our sponsors, Evan Shanley, David Place. It takes a certain amount of political courage to, if you will, to gently challenge the status quo. I'd like to thank the state representatives that we've spoken to. We've got a great deal of positivity from across the aisle. And particularly, I need to thank the Secretary of State's office as well. Rob Rock at the Board of Elections, the State Board of Elections, if you will, operating within the Secretary of State's office, and of course Greg Morey, Secretary of State. It's no surprise after you meet Secretary Morey that he spent a great deal of his life teaching civics and activism to our high school students right here in Rhode Island. It's been an exemplary experience. They've worked with us in the language of the legislation, and while no one's implying any endorsement, the fact that they would invest so much time in grassroots movement and a grassroots effort is frankly heartening. So we've gotten a great deal of embrace from the State of Rhode Island General Assembly, from leadership. We'll see if we can translate that into legislation. And most importantly, we'll see if we can translate that, into an open political process that encourages, if you will, participation from a broad variety of people, backgrounds, both economic, and at the same time brings people back to having a level of confidence in government, both the state of Rhode Island and nationally. So I'll take any questions.
Where's the Senate on this?
We do not have a companion bill right now. We're going to be reaching across the aisle post committee process on this to see if we can get moving and see if we can get it out of committee this year. Sometimes it's a challenge with first year legislation, wording, questions, issues, but at the same time we're going to be aggressively reaching out to the Senate.
And when you say it's going to be more down ballot races will be included, how far down ballot are we talking?
So the key here is statewide. any
Okay.
statewide office, including the United States Senate. So, for example, if someone gets 2% of the vote in lieutenant governor, where people historically, whether it be Secretary of State, lieutenant governor, treasurer, are not so completely tied to one choice.
Got it.
Where they're willing to take a little bit more of an evaluation of the individual candidacy, and where, quite frankly, grassroots efforts can build a foothold, that'll occur as well. Equally important is the notion, that folks can no longer have to go for the top job.
Yeah.
No longer have to go for the presidency. There's going to be a great deal more continuity. You know, we've had some great efforts at third parties over the years: the Moderate Party, the Cool Moose Party, the Green Party. I registered as a Green Party member out of solidarity back in the post-Nader era when they reached political party status, just because I was impressed by the effort that they put together to become, that next step,
Yeah.
to have that seat at the table. I also want to stress that this is not going to be easy. We're not creating gadflies parties here. 2% represents a significant investment in time. There needs to be a philosophy, a platform, real organization. You're talking about in any given race, $8,000 to $12,000 having to vote for your statewide candidate. That takes work. So we don't see any issue with regard to, again, what I'll call perennial or gadfly candidacies coming out of this, or parties coming out of this, because you've got to reach out to a broad array of modalities to achieve even that level of success. So,
Cool.
to Bill's point, I think what we've done here is craft legislation that creates challenges, but at the same time creates opportunities. And when you look across the country, again, Rhode Island is one of the toughest. Not as bad as, say, as in New York or DC or in Illinois, but at the same time, there are states in New England where all one needs to do is essentially file paperwork.
Yeah.
So we think we've reached the sweet spot in terms of credibility, challenge, but also accessibility.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you all for coming again. Bill, the Political Action Committee name?
It's the riverpac.org is the website, and it's Rhode Island Voters for Election Reform.
And if I could make one plea to folks, wallets, if you will, we are accepting donations. Those donations will be used exclusively for both advertising, outreach, and we are considering, once we complete the coalition, an effort at endorsing candidates based on their stand on what is essentially a civil libertarian issue. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.